I'm an employee of that company.
But you're contractual, meaning you're with the company that services these clients.
Yes.
So you don't have a direct relationship with your client?
No, I don't have a contact with the client. My client is my agent. And I can choose how many jobs I get. And if the agent has no job, then I get no work also.
Is this something one can say is comparable to a BPO? Your business process outsourced operation?
Yes,
Outsourced
that's
to
right,
you,
Kamen
outsourced to
Pang,
the
yes.
Philippines. But a one-man BPO.
Yes,
One-man
that's
BPO.
right. Yes.
Okay. So 2012 was a very, very significant disappointment to you.
Yeah,
10% loss of exchange rate value. Exchange rate value. Huh?
And also since palaging tumataas yung presyo ng mga bilihan, so may purchasing power, it decreased more. So
you know, theoretically, they always say that if the peso strengthens, import should be cheaper. And we are an import-dependent economy, so the commodities should be cheaper.
yes.
And in fact, not just commodities, but also utilities like electricity, which is fuel-based and which is mainly imported. But that it hasn't really gone down, has it?
Yeah, no, not really. It actually went up.
Okay.
Our agricultural products, for example, mabilihin sa palengke, mataas.
By the way, Liza is Ilocana, and did we have one discussion already? Yes, on the Marcos issue. Was it
Yes,
with you?
yes.
Well, we can discuss politics when Linggoy comes. Let's go to Mandy. Mandy, you're in the field of information, public relations, media. What have you seen in 2012? And as we go forward to 2013, what are your expectations? Our next guest is already here, Lingo Alquas, but he'll cool his heels for a while. Okay.
Okay, well,
Mandy.
I'd interpret it on a personal basis. I've been jobless almost for the year. That's why earlier I described to you 2012 was rather excruciating.
Excruciating, huh?
Because physically I had to undergo eye cataract operation, some physical health issues. But in terms of the economy, I'm just observing as a journalist consultant, because I do daily monitoring of these stories in the newspapers. And I've quite been doubtful about the developments in terms of the growth. But seems to me that later on this year, they seem to have been affirmed by the world or external sources. Of course, excruciating, but we might be able to summarize this in the context of what happened over the last 2 weeks. Excruciating in terms of symbolically a Pacquiao defeat. And maybe hopeful in terms of the win of the Naire and the Janin Tonogon victory in the pageant. Because these are factors we need to input in terms of how the economy behaves, specifically as driven by people's expectations of the future, in terms of how they build up their aspirational level. And I think, I'm jumping the gun on the issue, 2013 promises just that. It might be able to spark a certain intensity or increase in people's aspirational level because they are more hopeful, as the survey show. 80% are hopeful about 2013.
Yeah. Well, my reaction to that is that every year, every survey at the end of the year and before the new year is a positive one for people. Because what can you say? Yes, I hope things will be better. It's probably raris avi, a rare bird like me who will say, no, it's not going to be better. It's going to be worse. Why? Because I look at the structures. I look at the operation of the machinery. Did you change the spare parts? Did you revise the design because something went wrong in the past? Did you revise it? Did you change the driver of the vehicle because he bumped the car and crashed the car, or the cargo truck or the plane several times? Did you change the one who's driving it? Nothing has changed. There is a change of face, to one that looks like a young video game player in Malacanang, from a little mannequin girl previously, but their driving style hasn't really changed. The latest news, political news, is that they're trying to change suspend the governor of Cebu. I recalled immediately upon reading that Gloria Arroyo tried to remove Binay also. Right? So when elections were, nothing has changed. No, Hueting goes on, and so on. So the other reaction I have, Mandy, is one of our problem really is our culture, and the culture of entertainment, which distracts everyone from the real, essential, vital issues of the economy, economic policy, and so on, senior citizens' welfare, and so on. So Donaire, Pacquiao, to have our hopes pinned on boxing events, I think is distracting the nation. So let us look at the machinery of the economy. Let us look at the drivers of the economy. And looking at them, no change at all. So I'm not very hopeful. 2012, they tried to hype up the 7.1% growth in the third quarter. But Mandy, oh no, you were the one narrating to me that you were in an event, or was it Mandy?
It was me.
Please, Lisa, please narrate to us.
Last night, I attended a Christmas party. I won't tell what company that was. And one of the speakers, sabi niya, congratulations to the Philippines for a 7% growth for 2012. And then, he asked yung mga attendees ng Christmas party.
How many attendees yan? Yeah.
About 50.
Okay.
So, sabi niya, naramdaman niyo ba yung 7%? And everyone said no. So, and then, if that was the case, I was thinking, I hope that by early 2013, the answer will change to some of them.
I'm sorry to tell you my pessimistic view. It will not change. It's going to get worse. And why do I say so? The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, especially for people who are dollar earners in this country, meaning thousands of export-oriented industries, millions of OFW families, and hundreds of BPO operations who are earning dollars, they will have less peso for their dollar. Because the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and Malacanang is not moving to make decisions to peg it at some point so that there will be stability for our dollar earners, which is a major part, the most significant part of our economy. So, Mandy, what's your reaction?
The other fear really here, Mentong, is that what makes the figure of growth really worrisome rather, is that on the other hand, you have an unemployment rate that is rising.
That's right.
So I was trying to investigate, in a way, how this is happening. And then, of course, I tend to look at the psychosocial issues. Of course, a large part of the income that we are receiving are from OFWs. As the statistics show, there's 1 out of every 3 families has a relative outside. So I'm just worried, really, that what has happened, I hope I'm wrong, because I have no factual basis for this, is that the beneficiaries here have lost the killer instinct to survive, because now they are receiving whatever pittance of the support from the relatives outside, which, as Lisa said, is rather diminishing even in terms of buying power. Then that's my worry, really. Because of some pittances I receive from abroad, therefore I could be lackadaisical about issues. I'll not persevere. I'll not feel hungry anymore. And I'll not,
Well, if people who feel hungry, they turn on the TV and watch the past fight of Pacquiao or Donaire or and then for an hour or so, they'll forget their hunger.
It's the circus we have now.
It's a circus. But you're correct. And when we move on to the cultural aspect of our situation, that we're no longer a society culturally oriented towards producing the things that we want, that we need.
Yes.
Even if we continue earning more OFW, aside remittances, so long as, because I used to teach, and I asked my OFW mothers in the class, kasi yung mga husbands nila abroad, what are the first things you buy with your OFW remittance? Sabi, sir, of course, sir. Para kay baby lahat muna. Yung kailangan ni baby. Anong kailangan? Gatas. Where does the gatas come from? New Zealand or Australia? Ano next? Sir, of course, kay baby pa rin. Diaper.
Diapers.
Where does the diaper come from?
Thailand.
Indonesia or Thailand? We are designed not to produce anything except our OFW.
My point exactly about us being so kampante, akala natin laging may biyayang darating sa lamesa, therefore, pareho lang. Kakain ka't kakain
Ang
din.
problema dito, yung biyaya na inaasahan natin, pahirap ng pahirap because the economies of Europe and the US, which are the traditional markets, and the Middle East, where we are expecting a major regional conflict to ensue in 2013. We can look at that when our political analyst joins us in the second half. I see no silver lining in the clouds. Please help me. I want to have some hope. What do you see? What's the hope?
For 2013, well, not only for me but for everyone else, is to have a better life or higher standard of living.
Oh, that's a
for
hope.
2030. Yes.
What concrete thing do you see na shining through?
I have actually a fear of yung dyan sa peso-dollar exchange rate natin.
Personally.
That is a very well-founded fear because the projection now is going to be 37 to the dollar.
Wow.
Actually, a few weeks ago, I read an article. Ang analysis is the exchange rate might go down as low as 30 pesos per dollar.
But that I suppose,
Too low.
if Bangko Sentral does not do anything and Malacanang suicidal yan, no?
Okay.
I assume at 37 they'll start to do something, but even at 37 you're going to suffer a lot.
Let me just point out, kasi in the Philippines, 10% of our gross domestic product is from OFW remittances. And in 2012, that's about 200 billion na ating gross
Pesos,
domestic product.
pesos,
No,
oh.
it's US dollars.
US dollars?
So 10%,
No, cannot be.
well, let's just say...
25 billion dollars. Nadagdagan mo siguro ng isang zero. O sige, go ahead. No?
Okay, let's just say that figure is correct. And 10% of it, it's 20 billion. That's from OFW alone.
Yes. Oh.
Okay. And since 2010, so beginning of 2012, the exchange rate went down by 2 pesos.
Yeah.
That's
10%
a loss
nawala.
in
Yeah.
that's a loss of purchasing power
Yeah.
ng OFW and their relatives by 800 billion pesos. That's a lot of
Oh,
money.
pesos, yes. Oh, pesos, yes. Okay. Oh.
So, yung loss ng income ng mga FW dependent.
And that's why, so what happens with that loss? Your retail outlets will lose that 10%
Yes.
sales. Your movie houses will lose that
Yes.
10%. Department stores will lose. Economy will contract, will suffer contraction. Although you have an answer to that. You were telling me that because you project this, therefore you have to look for some domestic service activity that you can extend and earn from, because it's now more important to earn more pesos
Yes,
than
kasi
just depend on the dollars.
we're spending in pesos. But then, going back to what Sir Mondi said, yung culture natin, we're dependent now on the income sent to us by our relatives abroad. And then, in the Philippines, we do nothing but spend. And that's not good in the
That's
long
not healthy,
it's
no.
not in the long run for our economic
Well,
development.
even short run, because, for example, the answer of the administration to poverty is the CCT, conditional cash transfer. So people are now telling me
It's even,
they find it horrific to see long lines waiting for that handout, instead of long lines going to the fields to plant and,
I have actually a story about that. My mother is a public school teacher in the
Ilocos.
province, actually in Ilocos, in the Bondocs, literally in the Bondocs. So when you say public school teacher and you're teaching in the Bondocs, you know everyone. So kilala nila yung mga tao na who receive this conditional cash transfer. And then sabi niya one time, si ganon, tumatanggap yan ng ganito araw-araw yan, na tumotong it
Tongits. Okay.
Nagtumotongits dyan sa tabi. Pag katatanggap lang niya yung pera from the government, masaya yan kasi meron siyang pantaya. Which is really sad. I mean...
When Manang, yung kanyang Ilocano tono lumalabas eh. Let's go to Mandy before we take our break, and I'm very eager to hear from our Santa Claus over there about what politics will bring next year. Mandy, you have the last 2 minutes dito sa first half natin.
I'm just trying to say earlier on that what is positive about this, because if I were truthful to my PR profession, we have to build that communication environment of positive, so that we might be able to egg people to do something about their conditions rather than the extreme of hopelessness.
That's right.
I'm really just saying it has been summarized over the last 2 weeks, in a sense. What triumphs we have been able to gain maybe could serve to spark whatever fire we have in the belly as a population, in terms of trying to look for other ways. I don't think government is creating enough job opportunities. I have a concept. I submitted a paper to SSS about suddenly pump priming the economy to the extent of about 1/4 of a billion with a formula which I am not privy yet to explain in this program. And yet I cannot see any palpable direction towards creation of employment. As you said, this cash and transfer, whatever cash transfer,
conditional cash transfer,
even encourages
dependency, idleness, and tongits.
Yes.
We have 2 minutes pa pala. So, one of the trends we were discussing earlier off the air was the trend towards urbanization, which you both seem to think is a trend that is inexorable. Hindi mapipigilan.
Irreversible.
I have a contrary view because my own life I'm planning to move out. I'm now 61. I hope by in the next few years I'll be settling down in the boondocks.
Okay.
1,001 feet above sea level to plant my calamansi and harvest my coconut and so on. I intend to have my grandchildren move over there. Because I don't think life in the urban centers is human anymore.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy, and so on. But the government is obviously not planning to do that. This economy that we're describing is not an economy that will bring people to the rural areas, because there you have to produce things. But what's your retort kanina?
I seem to see it as irreversible, because if you study the growth of population density, we are now about 19,000 per square kilometer in Manila, where the national average is only about 600. Meaning to say, there's a real logical reason to distribute population rural-wide, rural-bound, instead of city-bound. But I say, it seems not to be the case, because walang makitang opportunity sa probinsya.
Okay, who's supposed to do that? Who's supposed to plan for that if it's not the government?
Exactly.
The private sector probably would want urbanization because concentration of markets para makabenta sila ng makabenta.
The economy of scale that they need.
Ikaw, Lisa, from your perspective in that generation, what's happening? I don't know if we have enough time before the break, but your short reaction.
Actually, I would want to move out of the city also, but the infrastructure that I need to be able to continue what I'm doing, working through the internet, it's not in Ilocos.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of putting the fiber optic lines up there, di ba? Or satellite service.
That's what I need.
So you have to elect me in the next election.
All right.
Unfortunately, I'm not running.
Oh, that's too
So
bad.
we're going to take a break.
Okay.